Hello and welcome to another and new series of Naval Action videos. In these ones we are going to visit the different ships in the lineup in sea trials right now, and we are going to see how they are, what they are good for, what they are not that good for, their polars, their characteristics, and we're going to see some gameplay on each of them. Now the first ship I'm going to choose is the Brig. Now the Brig I'm going to pick because it's a very misunderstood ship, and probably that's because people who are starting with the game jump from the cutter to the Brig and they don't realize how different they are. The general opinion between people who are starting and they use the Brig for the first time is that the Brig is an unmaneuverable brig, that it's terrible, that is very bad, and that the cutter is actually better. Well, I'm going to tell you that's not the case. The Brig, for starters, is harder than the cutter. It's not as maneuverable, but it's still very maneuverable. The problem is that it's your entry ticket to the big ships. All the big ships are square riggers, and square riggers need you to use manual sails, otherwise you are toast. And of course what happens is that people come from the cutter, where you don't have to use manual sails, try the Brig without knowing how manual sails work, and yeah, they think it's very bad because without manual sails the Brig indeed is a brig, as it is any other ship of the lineup with the square sails. However, if you use manual sails, this ship is actually very agile. It's a dream to sail. Now another thing you have to understand is that the Brig is not exactly a military vessel, as the Snow might be, the Surprise, Trincomalee, all the big ships, they are all warships. The Brig is actually not a specialized warship. It's kind of a jack of all trades. It's kind of a merchant vessel which is armed for self-defense. Of course, in the team deathmatch that sea trials are right now, it's not as attractive as a pure warship. However, well, there's a naval version of the Brig, a military Brig with more guns and a little bit more resilient hull. It's going to come very soon, and we are going to see it when it happens. But in the meantime, remember that the Brig is really good where it is right now in the lineup, and that especially in open sea you will see its strengths. This is a very multi-role vessel. You can trade with it, you can be a merchant, a pirate, a privateer. I mean, its strength is the way it can do almost everything and do it well. The problem, of course, is that in team deathmatch that doesn't shine because it's all about combat. But other than that, really very good ship. So what we are going to see is, well, a little bit of how it maneuvers, and then we'll see proper weapons, and finally we'll see some gameplay. So let's get started. So, well, the Brig. As you can see, we are in PB. I actually moved in to capture some footage. I told this guy to leave because I was not going to fight, but he still insisted in staying. So, well, I left him to do the fighting while I show you how this ship works. Now, first thing, in this ship is extremely important for you to start using manual sails. And if you don't know how, you will have to go to a video I have about that, and I'm going to link that in the screen and in the description. But first, let's see the angles and the polars of this ship. So the first polar we are going to find is the upwind one. The upwind one we will reach once the wind stops acting on our sails, which is here. So at maybe 50 degrees to either side, yeah, your sails will stop producing thrust, because there is where they don't feel the sails anymore, and you can see the speed is going down. Some thrust is produced by the well, the jibs and the staysails, but you are really slow in this position. So that's 50 degrees. Now beam reads, actually close hauled, is not really good in this ship, but it's not as bad as in other ships. Beam reads is actually pretty good. This ship starts handling really well from maybe 80 degrees of the wind and upwards. So yeah, beam bridge is actually pretty good. Best position is broad bridge, which happens at roughly in 135 degrees of the wind. This is the maximum speed you will get. As you can see, well, the speed is going up significantly so. Yeah, you can reach maybe 40 knots or so. 14, sorry. And yeah, then you have running. Running position is with the wind on your back. Now, in this position, the main sails are stopping some of the wind to go to the foresails, and you are not going to be as fast. As you can see, the speed is reduced, maybe 12 knots out of the 14 almost we were having in broad reach. Now, I have to insist that in this ship, you must, and I repeat, must control manual sails. Why is that? Well, let's do a port turn. I'm not using manual sails. As you can see, it's slow to turn. Slow, slow, slow. Let's go back to the position we were in, and now we are going to use manual sails. So we are back in the running position, and now if we use manual sails, this seems quite faster, isn't it? Well, before we were just starting the turn, now we have already turned 90 degrees. So you must understand one thing, this ship is not a bad ship. It's not that it maneuvers bad, it's that if you don't know how to use manual sails, you're going to suffer. But that's going to hold truth for the whole ships, all the ships that have square sails. So what we have just seen is that the polars are pretty okay-ish. Now this screen, this diagram, you have to think the ship as if it's the part of the compass which is lined up with the north-south axis. Okay, and picture the wind coming straight from the north. All right, so if you go directly upwind into the wind, you are not going to have very good attributes out of the ship at all. If you want to go through that, you have to tack against the wind. If you, well, remember, tacking is explained in the manual sails video. Essentially, you don't want your ship to be pointing in maybe 45-50 degrees to either side of the wind, because then your sails will stop producing thrust and you will be reduced to a crawl or even start backing. Now close-hauled, which means with the wind coming at a very acute angle but still producing some thrust in your main sails, goes from maybe 50 degrees of the wind to maybe 70 degrees, 80 degrees of the wind. As you can see, that's in yellow. That means that the ship is not going to be extremely fast, but it's still going to be, well, fast enough and maneuverable enough, and it's going to behave pretty well in that situation. But still is not the best polar to take in this ship. From that point up to maybe 20 degrees of the direction of the wind, is all green. What does green mean? It means that is the sweet spot for this ship. The best polar for the Brig goes from 70-80 degrees of the wind all the way up to maybe 20 degrees with the wind on your back. That's the position where the ship is fastest. That's the position where the wind is acting the most on your sails. So you will have the faster reaction to your manual sail inputs. And that's the position you want to be in ideally. And finally, well, if you are running with the wind on your back, 20 degrees more or less to each side, I pictured it in blue to mean that it's not actually that bad. There are ships that in running position they feel it a lot. This is not one of them. This is actually pretty forgiving in running position. It's almost as good as in beam reach. So it's actually pretty good. But still, if you are in running position and you can turn either way a little bit, you will be more effective if you do so. So yep, those are the polars. Now let's see the weapons. Constructor. Well, in the constructor you can see you have only one deck of guns and a set of stern chasers. The options you have are standard cannons from 4 to 6 pounders, both in the long and standard versions, and a couple of options of carbonates. I personally never go with anything that's not a usual gun of 6 pounders. A lot of people go for the carbonates, but you have to be really close to do anything with them, and they are not flexible enough. Also, carbonates are getting changed quite a lot in the near future, so whatever you have learned about them so far is going to be useless when that happens. Once that happens, also if you are in the Brig, probably you are still learning the ropes of the game, so it's much better to go with cannons, honestly. Cannon longs, well, these have a longer reach, they have higher penetration, but they have a reduced rate of fire. I would say that if you are going to go for maybe PvP light, the longs may be a decent idea if you want to stay off outer range, but the standard cannons have a higher rate of fire. So, and most of the fights end up being, if not close quarters, at least mid range or short range, and for those the cannon is much better because they have higher DPS. The carbonates, as I say, well, in the back because you don't have any other option, but yeah, I mean, for just for fastest games when you simply are there to troll the enemy, yeah, the carbonate might be a fun option, but if you are serious about being good with the ship, I would go with cannon 6 pounders for all the guns. Of course, this wouldn't be a proper review of any ship if there is not some gameplay to showcase it in action and, well, what it does well, what it doesn't do that well. So we are going to see some gameplay about a Brig. This is a battle where we are actually in inferiority. The enemy has a surprise when we have a snow, so they actually have 3 frigates against our 2. And my focus and the focus in one of these big ship battles is to, well, deal with the lighter ships, harass the enemy big ships, while all the way trying to make yourself a non-important target, so you are not truly targeted. Now this is not that complicated to do, because if you are in a small ship and you are close to a Constitution or a Trincomalee or even more so a Bellona or a Victory or a Santissima, people are going to look at the Santissima and the Constitution and the big ship first. Of course, now and then it happens that it's not the case, especially with my case. It happens a lot because people see me and they want to shoot me in whatever ship I'm in. But in this game, yeah, it actually wasn't a factor. So as you can see, we start at long ranges. In this scenario, long range engagement, the long 6s would be better, but I have standard 6s, which are good enough. And the thing is that standard 6s have much better rate of fire, and you are going to watch and see how much does it help when the range becomes shorter. Long guns actually only have an advantage at very long ranges, and in TDM, which is the only game mode we have right now, you have to fight it out, and usually ranges go lower very quickly. So yeah, I'm not fond of long guns for this game mode. When OpenSea happens, well, there may be some credit and some good ideas and good reasons to put some long guns in the sides of the ships, but right now I don't think it's the case. Anyway, our big ships are heading from the enemy, so I'm going to follow suit. As you can see, I'm using unloading double shot on the right side while keeping standard on the left because I have some targets that I still can't reach with double shot on my left side. And here, well, we have a situation where that Constitution there is going to shoot at us because he has no other bigger target. So right now my focus is in putting fire on the enemy, but especially so staying out of the enemy arcs of fire. We also have a surprise in front of us, which is opening his hands towards our brig, and we are going to be targeted by him. Now, when you are in a small ship and you're facing a bigger ship, your ideal position is to directly head for him, because that's your narrowest position. The bow is raking fire after all, and you are going to suffer some by taking fire on them, on there. But it's much better than give him your size, so he can put every gun on you all the time. So he fired on me, I opened myself, I put some shots on him. The enemy Constitution is moving closer and closer and closer, so I'm going to open up on him. Of course, that's a big ship. 6 Panthers are not going to do a huge lot of damage, but this ship is to harass the enemy. You should be more worried about staying alive than about putting fire on the enemy. Your true target are the enemy light ships, but if there's none of them close by, you want to harass the bigger ships. Right now, as you can see, the big enemy frigate is coming off our starboard side. We have the surprise in front. I'm aiming for the surprise, so when he shoots, he can't hit anything that's not my bow. And in the meantime, I'm trying to get a proper position to shoot my starboard guns to that Constitution. Take aim and open up. As you can see, I'm not doing a whole lot of damage, but it's not about the damage, it's about the harassing and to keep them distracted and keep them worried about something which is not your bigger ships. So that way your own bigger ships will be able to fight without so much trouble. Now that surprise has received a pretty good fire from me, but now I'm in a position where I have a problem, because that Constitution is coming for me. Or is that uncommonly? In either case, it's a very bad situation for me. So I open up with my stained chasers and I keep on this route and I keep on in this direction. Why? Because again, getting raked from behind is not good, but it's much better to get maybe 5 balls through the rear than getting all the enemy broadside on my sides. You can see he's actually missing most of his shots because he has lost his fire. People actually don't know yet how to do proper raking shots in this game. At least the most experienced players will destroy you from a rake, but most people don't really know how to do it. So that's probably the safest position you can go for when you are dealing with a situation like this. So I open up with my left chasers and now I'm going to turn towards him. Now the idea with light ships is that you want to be behind the enemy big ships. They are not as maneuverable as you as long as you use manual sails. So as you can see, well, I was running away from him, he has fired, I have fired, and now I'm coming back towards him. Again, giving him my front profile, the smallest profile, the narrowest profile, so if he opens up on me, he won't get a good shot on me. And now I'm sleeping behind that guy. And this is the ideal spot you want to be in, behind a big ship, because they don't have a very nice chance to, well, get out of your fire or take you off your rear. So, well, putting some shots on the ass of that guy, and this is going to be my focus for the time being, because I have a very good position behind that big frigate, and all I have to do is to keep that position and, well, put fire on him as much as I can. We can see that our frigates have taken some shots, but they are still fighting, which is pretty good. Also, we can see that this frigate is going to be more worried about our own frigate than with me. He's giving me a perfect breaking shot because he's focused on our big ship. So I take the chance, take some ranging shots, open up. Little bit of lag there, should have shot a little bit before, but it's good enough. Caused some crew casualties there, put a good shot on his rear, and now I turn back towards him. As you can see, I'm using manual sails all the time. I'm not going to mention it a lot, you will have to notice it, but I'm using manual sails a lot, essentially all the time. Now that surprise is shooting at us. This is one of those situations where I told you, most of the time people will shoot at the bigger ship. Now and then they will shoot at the smaller one, but if you stay close to a big ship, usually the enemy will focus the big ship and not you, and that's what you want to do. Stay close to your big ships, harass the enemy ships, and protect your own big ships from their smaller ships. Again, turning towards the frigate. You can see I'm using a lot of maneuverability here. People who say that this ship is a brig, is a brig, not a brig. It's because they don't use manual sails. If you use manual sails, this thing is really very nimble. The problem is, of course, a lot of people who try this ship for the first time don't know about proper manual sails. So well, now we are coming close to our big frigate. The enemy is moving far away from me. These are all missed shots because he's farther than what I can reach with double shots, so I have to close in again. Thankfully he's turning and he's going to give me an easy time coming closer to him, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I also keep track, always keep track of where your friendly ships are. Don't become focused only on the enemy. Keep track on your friends because you don't want to ram your friends. And later on you are going to see how important that lesson is. So, well, heading towards the enemy ship. Again, using manual control to unmask my starboard side guns. Taking a ranging shot. A little bit too short, so I take another one. That one is okay. I open up and I get some hits on his rear. Now, as you can see, I'm not especially focused on putting all my shots on the enemy. The idea is to be a harassing force, not to kill the enemy ship. The enemy ship is much bigger than mine. What I want is to keep him worried about me. So as you can see, again, I keep track on where my friendly ships are so I don't collide with them. And I head again for the enemy ships. Now this was unfortunate because I changed to chainshot. And I changed for chainshot because in this situation I was thinking about the chance to slow that enemy frigate down. So we would have an easier time beating him down. However, it turns out that it's not going to be needed. And later on I'm going to shoot a whole chainshot to the enemy hull, and that's not going to do a lot. Yeah, that was a distraction on my part, but still. Well, again, it's not about the damage, it's about the harassing, it's about the distraction, it's about the moral penalty you put on the enemy knowing he has someone who's essentially putting shots on him and he can do nothing to avoid it. Now the enemy is trying to unmask his starboard side to shoot me, but I avoid that by maneuvering towards his rear and accelerating towards it. That way, you can see I'm close to his arcs of fire, but I'm not inside them. And here is where having chain is going to bite me in the ass. I don't have elevation to shoot his upper sails. The lower sails were furled, so I wouldn't be able to put any damage on them. So I just shoot at the hull. I did very few damage there, but well, at least I did something. I changed to double shot. This guy is really damaged by now. And well, it's time to win his rear again. Now the problem is that I'm moving against the wind, but this ship is so nimble that I can go into an upwind position. Remember the red in the polar sketch before? Well, I'm directly into it, but I'm nimble enough to come into it and get out of it before I'm slowed down so much that I can't maneuver. So I just move into the wind, out of the wind, and keep on looking for that frigate's rear. And yeah, slide again towards his backside. And once I'm there, guns are almost loaded. Open up. And get some nice hits on his unprotected side. Again, doubling back. Using manual sails to increase our turn rate. Keeping a track on where our friendly ship is so we don't collide with him. Again, the enemy frigate is trying to open up his starboard side to shoot us, but we won't let him win a shot by sliding into his rear again. Ranging shot, on target, open up. He's going down, but we want to hasten his sinking as much as we can because we don't want him to put more shots on our big ships. Again, manual sails. Turning towards the enemy rear, the other enemy big frigate is coming in, but he's extremely damaged, so probably we won't have a problem with him. Well, I have to finish him off. So again, keeping track on where my friendly ship is, not to turn directly in front of him so he collides. And here I actually rushed my shot. I should have taken another ranging, but I didn't. Okay, this frigate here is sunk. Now it's time to go for the enemy. For the other enemy. Of course, that means that now we must tack against the wind. So I go into upwind, swivel my backyard, and the ship will get out of the wind on his own. And that big frigate is also sunk. Now there's only the surprise to deal with and the small ships. But the problem is that our own big ship is pretty battered. It's really damaged. So we have to help him. Again, using the maneuverability of the ship, we are going to accelerate towards them. There's a brig behind us. It's not our concern for the time being. Our concern are the ships that are hitting our own big ship. We have one frigate left. We want to keep it alive as long as possible. Again, approaching the surprise, we want to approach it giving the narrowest profile. That means that we will have a shot at this brig. He opens up, puts some shots on me, but he was using a standard shot. I'm using double, so he's going to hurt a lot more than I did there. Meanwhile, we are coming close to the surprise, so we unmask our other side, open up on his weakened side, which is the starboard one. That will help making him sink sooner. So, well, we have received some fire. Not a lot, not very problematic. We are doing a pretty good job in what I told you, staying out of the enemy arcs of fire while keeping ours, well, our guns firing. So here we have this brig, which is turning towards us. He's actually going to collide against me, which is actually bad for him. Actually worse for him than for me. I'm sure he didn't want to, but still, he crashed against me. I put my chases on him. I go to survival to control the flooding of the collision, and I pop a repair to repair my hull, which is somewhat weakened already from the fire I've been subjected to. As you can see, collisions are extremely dangerous. Look at how much flooding I'm getting, and this guy collided with his own surprise. And that probably sealed the deal from us, because he has lost his bowsprit, and he has damaged his surprise a lot. The surprise was actually pretty damaged already, and with that collision probably he's having a lot of flooding. So remember, always look around. You don't want to collide with your own friendlies, because that's a game changer. If this and the enemy team have any chance to win against us, well, right now they have none, because that collision has sealed the deal. So, well, I have controlled my own flooding, I have repaired my hull, I'm in good condition again to open up on the enemy. And so I do, but sadly the range is so hit, but the enemy moved a little bit farther and my main volley didn't connect on that one. No big deal, we double back again, manual control. The enemy surprise is clearly going down. The enemy Brig is what can be a problem at this moment. However, he has received a brutal broadside from our frigate, so he's very damaged. He has used a repair, but still he's going to have a very weakened starboard side even after the repairs. Sadly, again, well, that's why you want to put your nose towards the enemy. He was giving me a very small target and I missed most of my shots. But the situation is pretty good. We are coming close to that brig. The other one is engaged with our snow, and that's going to be the death of him, because a snow is much better than a brig in a 1v1. So right now my attention is caught by this brig. And instead of tacking against the wind, I'm going to fall out of it and run parallel to him. Why? Because he's about to open up on me and I want to give him a narrower profile, which I'm doing right now. I have avoided most of his shots. Had I tried to tack against the wind, he would have put most of them against my side. And now I'm coming out of my turn and we are running parallel to him, which is the ideal position to shoot. Running parallel to the enemy ship makes leading much more intuitive. And there you go, some nice shots on him. Surprise is clearly going down. Our frigate is also very damaged, but at this moment I still have 2 repairs. I'm in a very good position. The enemy brigs are very damaged. We are going to win this. At this moment I already know this battle is won. So well, that brig there is aching. No reason why not to put some shots on him, especially because that one is moving away, giving me his rear, and at this range it's very complicated to put most of my shots on him. So I'm not going to even try. I am going to fire this guy who's giving me his side. Again, very unfortunate because the ranging shot hit him, but the main shots didn't. Now, of course, well, I have a shot on this guy. No reason why not to try. He's actually opening up right now, so now he's giving me a bigger profile, more chances for me to hit. I open up, get a very nice volley on him. Time to look at the other side already. We are almost reloaded. I pop a repair because why not? No real need to, but not real reason why not. And well, finishing blows on that other brig. Our big frigate tells us that he's going down. Well, he did his job. He did well, very well actually. So I give him a GG and I assure him we are going to win this. So well, I'm keeping both of them in my sights. I check out the situation. Yeah, we have a snow and my own brig versus that sinking brig and the other one, which is also hurting really bad. And now it's pretty much finishing the job. Good shots on this guy. This guy is obviously going down. And the other one, well, is back there, but I'm not worried about him. We are going to finish out this one, which is already happened. And now we can move to finish off the job. So you can see manual cells again. Well, again, not really again, it's all the battle. If you rewatch this gameplay, you will see that at every single moment I was using my manual cells. Every maneuver was done with the proper manual cell input. And that's where the brig starts to shine. The brig is actually not that far on maneuvering than the cutter. The problem is that you need to know what you are doing with your manual cells. Again, if you want to learn about manual cells, I have a video on that. Link is in the description, and I already put before a link to that particular lesson. So, taking against the wind, and well, speed is going back. I'm actually going backwards now, so I use counter rudder. Speed now is positive again, so I'm going to go full rudder again, and I get out of the wind without any problem whatsoever. And now, well, the only thing I have to do is to close up with that guy and finish him off, which won't be very complicated. I still have one repair left. Probably he has none. He's very damaged. I'm not. As you can see, we are right now going close hauled, which means that we are not going very fast. So I open myself a little bit. I open my angle, and I immediately am rewarded by a burst of acceleration. I go into survival mode a little bit. I have a little bit of flooding. I want to get rid of it. Right now I'm loading double shot on both sides, so I have the time to spare to get rid of that flooding. I'm giving my bow to that guy so he doesn't have an easy shot on me, and as you can see, he's missing most of his shots. So again, opening myself a little bit. I had closed my position towards the wind to give him my nose, but now he's fired. There's no reason to keep that. And as you can see, the more we open ourselves towards the wind, the more we accelerate. We are already in a beam reach, and in a beam reach this ship is actually very good. We are coming closer and closer, have double shot. And I want to put it on, well, on the target. So I move close in the fastest I can. He opens up again. Again, I'm giving him a very small profile. He's missing most of his shots. Of course, he's missing most of his shots because probably this guy is new at the game. An experienced player will put most of his shots on your bow, but still it's better to get hit on your bow than in your side. At least if you have some armor in the bow. If you don't, it's better to get hit on the sides. But well, it actually depends a little bit on the situation. In any case, well, right now we have put a very strong broadside on him. Manual cells again. You can see he's not using manual cells, and I'm using manual cells. And you can see how fast I'm winning on him. Now he's starting to use manual cells, but it's too late, because he's actually not doing it very well. He's putting his front yard against the wind. That's going to slow him down. So I'm outturning him by a wide margin. Again, giving him my bow. He opens up again. He hits my bow. But as soon as I open up on him, which happens right now, I will put all my shots on his side. I'm going to reverse my movement, reverse my yard's position to turn opposite, where he's pretty much stopped on the water. Opening up my port side. Have a perfect shot on his rear. He puts his chases on me, but I don't care because I just destroyed his rear side. I double back again, using manual cells again. You can see how maneuverable this thing is. I'm putting shot after shot after shot on him, and I would have put another one in 30 seconds had the battle not finished. So yeah, that's the Brig. People think it's not good. Well, it's actually very good. You only have to use manual cells. So yeah, that was the review of the Brig. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you later.